Welcome back to the RKON Secure Chat podcast. My name is Jeff Laurinaitis. I'm the guest host today. I've been a managing director here at RKON since the end of 2004, in charge of business development. And with me is Aaron Rich of Blusky Restoration. Aaron, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Again, Aaron Rich, I'm the CIO of Blusky Restoration. Been with the company for a little over 2 years at this point.
And what did you do before Blusky?
Yeah, so I kind of came into a more traditional information technology role. I don't know if it's a normal path, but I started my career in software engineering. So I went to school for computer science. First job out of college was large government contracting, and then found myself into the high growth SaaS businesses. When I had the opportunity to come to Blusky and do something a little different, I jumped at it. It's been a great change.
Thanks for that. So what does it mean for you to be a CIO, and how do you measure your success around that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, there's a lot of facets or things underneath technology or the CIO role. Being at a private equity backed business, the emphasis or focus is on growth, obviously. So while there's a lot of different ways to measure it, the two drivers for me are first and foremost keep Blusky data and systems secure. So cybersecurity and everything that's underneath that umbrella is critical to my role. We work with our equity partners to score and report out on the cybersecurity program's health quarterly. So that's something they deeply care about and track. And the second piece, and equally as important, is delivering technology solutions that help the business grow and make our employees' technology experience great. So that could be anything from a great help desk experience, just to make sure that their day-to-day endpoints and phones are working, all the way up to critical business applications, CRM, ERP, job management solutions in our case, making sure that they're truly best-in-class solutions that can drive our business forward.
So you mentioned private equity, right? So I know being a CIO in any company is always challenging. But in private equity, it adds a different level of complexity because they're looking for valuation creation, and they're looking for that growth, like you said, which tends to be a little bit higher pace. You're going to do a lot of acquisitions, things of that nature. How does the private equity board actually measure your success? Like, how are you graded then?
So I think that from a grade perspective, obviously they keep track on our spend. So how does our spend, our IT spend, align with other businesses in our space? I mentioned earlier that we work with our equity partners, cybersecurity teams, to measure the maturity of our cybersecurity program, and then the business application piece is a little bit more of a blend, right? So there's an operational component and an IT component. So that's something that's kind of hard to measure. It's a little bit more, feel based or whatnot. But I'd say there's a blend there between ops and IT.
So those were the challenging parts, but what makes your role exciting?
Yeah, I think that the thing that I realized, maybe 5 to 10 years into my career, is that while I really liked building technology, I thought that's what I wanted to do. What really got me excited is the intersection of business and technology. So what's exciting is our ability to deliver a solution or deliver an integration or deliver some new capability that materially moves the business forward. A good example for us is we replaced our job management solution last year, and the foundation and the benefits that brought to our business over the last 6 months has been tremendous, and that's super exciting.
How do you look to incorporate? I know a lot of people look at key trends within IT, right? So when you have a lot of acquisitions going on and you're putting in and already doing other kind of projects for how you're getting measured against, how do you kind of juxtapose what those key IT trends are with integrating it into your business strategy or IT strategy?
my focus is less. My personal focus is less on IT trends and more what the business needs today. To be fully honest with you, obviously it's good to keep an eye on what's going on in cybersecurity and how that potentially could impact the business and whether or not we need to adjust our solutions to help in that line of business. But by and large, most of my focus is internal, right? How do we improve the applications that are being used? How do we deliver a better customer experience for our employees and our vendors? Is really where my focus has been.
So then how do you set your priorities to ensure that your vision are aligned with these priorities and what's important to Blusky?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time, I guess 2 years ago, we spent a lot of time reworking how we organized our IT professionals. So historically, we had one kind of lump of people, or a group of people who were capable of supporting multiple systems, helping solve multiple business problems. And ultimately, what we did is we rallied those teams. We broke them up into segmented teams that were focused on business applications. And then we structured a steering committee that sits on top of each of those business applications that they meet with monthly to ensure that the business has say in what's going to be built, what's going to be solved, and when. So the discrete steering committees sitting over our CRM system, our job management system, our more traditional infrastructure IT systems, they have say month to month as to how we're spending our money, what we're working on, and they can validate that the solutions that we're providing or are on the roadmap are doing what we had hoped that they would do.
One of the most difficult challenges organizations face is finding resources and talent, right? So help me understand what your recruiting is like and what your strategy is for that retention at Blusky.
So early on in my career, I was hiring software engineers, and one of the conclusions that I came to is that it's easier to find somebody with the right skill set on paper or somebody with the right skill set to do the job. What's a lot harder is to find somebody who fits kind of the culture or the vision for your business. So I had a CEO who I worked for at one point. He told me, there's a spectrum of businesses, like 2 people in a startup in a garage who aren't being paid anything, all the way up to big companies like GE. And he made us think about where on that spectrum we were. And whenever we interviewed somebody, made sure that the people who we were interviewing aligned with where on that spectrum they wanted to work. So I think fit is super important. And if you're a high growth business, that typically comes with a little bit more chaos. And you want somebody who's looking for that.
I definitely agree on the chaos aspect. So, but you just mentioned it. You're in a hyper growth kind of organization as private equity owned, right? So how do you view that scaling of human capital, right? When do you make the decision of what to insource versus what to outsource?
Yeah, so my approach on that, whether it's been a Blusky Restoration or whether it's been building custom software, I try to use the principle: is it a business differentiator for us, or is it more commoditized? And while there's always exceptions to that rule, that's been a pretty good guideline for me. So for instance, at Blusky Restoration, we outsource our help desk. Whereas the support and configuration of our critical business applications, they're very specific to Blusky. They're very specific to our business processes, and we hire great people to work for us to own and drive those things forward.
So whether you're outsourcing or whether you're looking for an IT project, what do you look for when you're evaluating your technology partners?
Yeah, I think the way I evaluate technology partners is kind of very similar to how I, evaluate hiring a full-time employee. I think that fit is key. It's very easy to find a vendor who does help desk or cloud support or provides CISO capabilities, but do they understand the type of business that you are? Do they understand the pace in which you move? I think those kind of attributes are much more important to get aligned with than whether or not the technical aspects can be delivered.
So you've partnered with RKON on several projects, and you alluded to part of the answer just right there. But beyond just the managed services, why did you select us? How did we stand out from some of the competition from the time we first met?
Yeah, I think early on when we started our conversations, it was clear to me that RKON understood the private equity businesses. It understood the drivers. It understood the problems that we as a business are dealing with in being a highly acquisitive company. And those attributes kind of they are present in almost everything that we do. And I just felt like for that reason it was a great match.
In your opinion, how have we been able to deliver on some of those projects, and have you realized the value at Blusky from these projects?
Yeah, without a doubt. We've been able to centralize our help desk. So to put it in perspective, we have 60-ish offices across the United States. With RKON's help, we've been able to unify that customer support experience for all of our employees, which is a huge win. We've been able to decentralize the provisioning of mobile devices and tablets and laptops for our employees. And maybe most importantly, we've been able to resource our technical integration team in a way that doesn't detract from our day-to-day business, which has been a huge win for us.
And one of the reasons you have that many offices is you do a lot of different acquisitions, right? You do 4 to 6 probably acquisitions on average per year. So what's the other challenge? You don't have a stable environment. It's at high growth, right? So what is some of the other components of how we're helping you achieve the success? Because every time you buy a company, they kind of have called their own technology debt that you have to figure out a strategy. So how does RKON help you when you go and acquire a company to get them into your standardization or the standard platforms?
Yeah. So obviously every company that you purchase or integrate with is different. Their processes are different. Their technology solutions are different. Their networking equipment or how they've set up their offices are different. So we leverage RKON to as soon as the deal's public and we're able to go in, we leverage RKON in conjunction with Blusky IT to go in and evaluate the kind of IT footprint that exists. Based on that, we come up with a custom plan together to migrate systems and other IT infrastructure items so that it aligns with how we want to run our business, and then execute it when the time is right.
So help desk means a lot of different things to different people, right? So a lot of people, when I talk to them, the connotation comes up that it's a call center that you call in a break fix kind of manner. When you started working with RKON on outsourcing your help desk to us, what was some of the value that you said, hey, they do a lot more than just this break fix? What's the value proposition is from your perspective that we've really been able to help you achieve? Because you're 100% SaaS, you don't have a data center, right? So it's a critical function for you, but it's more than just that break fix. So if you can help explain how you see that value.
Yeah, I think I touched the first one that comes to mind, right, is a consistent, great user experience for our employees, regardless of where you are. So that's been an enormous win for us. I think the other piece that's been a huge win for us is the RKON help desk acts as a proxy for some other vendors that we're relying upon. So the company who provisions cell phones and laptops, for instance. We can call the help desk. The help desk either has automated or can get those requests in the right hands and kind of own that end-to-end user experience. So it's obviously a help desk, but it's also a point of integration for other critical services that our business is reliant upon, and that's been really great.
So as you mentioned before, cybersecurity is definitely paramount. It not only is a priority for you, a priority for Blue Sky, and it's really important when you're in this private equity space because there's a bigger brand that you're kind of attached to. What are you doing to help protect Blue Sky? And how, we'll just start with that.
Yeah, I think that
it's a risk management strategy, right? So that's
sure. I think as everybody knows, there isn't like a playbook that you can just run and then say, okay, we're safe now, right? It's a moving target. It's something that you have to continually strive to improve as the adversaries change, as the platforms that you're running your applications on change. So it's hard to give, a definitive set of actions. But when I think about it, there's a few things that are universally applicable to most businesses, I think. I start with the basics, right? Deploying SSO and MFA to as many places as you can possibly deploy them to. Helps with onboarding, helps with offboarding, it helps with, it's a huge help from a security perspective. We tend to lean towards cloud-based SaaS applications instead of hosting things on-prem. I think it reduces the ransomware threat significantly. It doesn't eliminate it, obviously, but it helps from a security perspective for sure. Backup and recovery, right, is critical. In the event you were to get hit with a ransomware event or you were to have one of your systems go down hard, knowing that you have reliable backups in the kind of incremental time periods that you need to support your business, hosted in separate infrastructure, and then testing it annually is something that we do that is critical to knowing that if you had to, you can kind of get things back up and running. And then I would say finally, and again, I think most people probably are doing this at this point, but internal, external pen tests annually just to make sure that your offices, any data centers, your cloud infrastructure is correctly secured so that you can patch any holes as things change.
So you mentioned at the beginning that you contract with RKON for our virtual Chief Information Security Officer or CISO program, right? So there's many aspects of cybersecurity. You have the strategy for risk management, then you have the delivery controls, the monitoring, things of that nature, right? So what drove you to create and contract with RKON for a virtual CISO? Like how does that play into your strategy? And then what are you getting out of it?
Yeah, I think, you'd asked a question earlier about, what do you insource and what do you outsource? And I think vCISO is a great example of bringing an expertise from a company like RKON, who has a lot of cycles. They've seen a lot of things, and bringing them in an advisory and an oversight role has been great. We get a risk register that we review weekly. We're able to feed data points into the vCISO program and kind of get a singular picture of our cybersecurity footprint. I think it's a good opportunity to leverage expertise that is universal across many types of businesses.
So one of the other aspects, I know you already have a lot of remote users. That's just the nature of your business, going out for restoration projects when people have disasters, whether it's at their commercial location, whether it's at their home. But does Blue Sky have to deal a lot with the work from home? Like, how are you guys in this post-COVID world trying to deal with people in offices versus people being out and remote?
So obviously our field, we've had to provide SaaS applications, mobile devices, technology solutions that work in the field. And because of that, if certain departments or certain employees want to work from home, it's a pretty natural transition. I think with that being said, most of our back office folks still do come into the office, accounting, finance. It just really depends. It really depends on the role and the geography and kind of what each part of the business does, right? Our more field or restoration folks, they tend to be either in a restoration office or out in the field, kind of in a hybrid in a hybrid mode. IT, for instance, is spread across the United States. Everybody works from home, so it depends a little bit on the requirements of the job and the role.
So when you have a disparate workforce like that, that's all remote, obviously their applications or data now, the applications are in the cloud, but the data is all dispersed. But do you see or do you factor any of that challenges from a cybersecurity perspective, like into your risk management strategy in terms of, hey, now we have to have a different what worked for us in the past, or a different job, right? How does that translate into moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think device control becomes critical. So in the event a person's phone or laptop is stolen, being able to shut it down and make sure that the data on the devices is secure is important. All the laptops that get sent out are encrypted, for instance. We do our best to store any job data, any business data in the cloud systems themselves, so we're not reliant upon the devices specifically. But by and large, yes. I mean, I think with a remote workforce, you have to make sure that the devices are secure and the data is stored in the cloud, if at all possible.
So looking forward, is there any advice that you'd have for someone who's never worked for that private equity owned portfolio company, especially in this mid-market space? When you look out, you're like, hey, this is my advice. This is what wisdom you'd have to hand over to that person.
Yeah, I think anytime you make a decision to work in a type of business, it should be purposeful. And when I look back on my career, I made a decision to work in smaller, high growth companies, and for a reason, which is there's a little less structure, there's a lot more opportunity to grow and to learn and to make mistakes and to move fast. All of that comes with, I think, a heightened progression from a career development perspective. So it's like you grow faster, you learn faster, you get better faster. I think what comes with that is a little bit of extra stress and probably longer hours and everything that comes with that. But it's exciting, it's fun, and I just would advise anybody who wants to do that to just know what the trades are and consciously make those trades.
Well, thanks again for your time, Aaron. Appreciate it, and good luck this year at Blue Sky.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow us on RKON's social media platforms and tune into our next episode.